Hey, we're live again. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for another Facebook Live training session. Today is a very interesting topic and I'm super excited to learn more about. We have the fantastic Becca Holloway telling us a little bit about TikTok, helping us to discover this platform and see if it's worth the hype and if we should be on TikTok and if we should be considering TikTok or for our business, or if it's just something that we should not be worrying and distracting ourselves with right now. Without any further ado, I'll let Becca introduce herself and I'll let Becca to have the virtual stage. So welcome, Becca, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. I'm just going to put my screen up. So yeah, thank you for that introduction. My name is Becca and today I'm going to be talking you through the basics of TikTok, how the app works, what you can expect when you first sign up, a little bit in the algorithm, and also how you can use it as part of an ongoing social media strategy. So first of all, a little bit more about who I am. So I have quite a lot of hats. I'm an events coordinator at another social media meetup called Sharing Social. I'm a social media manager at an agency called Base Creative. I'm a lifestyle blogger, bullet journal lover, guinea pig enthusiast, and most importantly, a TikTok addict. So I think there's a bit of a misconception when you say the word TikTok. This is how quite a few people react. They think it's just some craze which is going to die down, or it's just for teenagers. It's just where they do funny dances. I think maybe a year or just over that, I go, sure, I could relate. But it's not just for kids. I don't want you thinking it's just for the 14-year-olds. Like, there's a lot more potential on this platform. So around this time last year, I started delving into TikTok and having a more in-depth look at what the app had to offer and how that could be used from a business perspective, and also what people were using it for who weren't just jumping on the dance trends. So when my obsession started, this is kind of what happened, and I would highly encourage any of you who are curious about the app to download it and give it a go. It can be a little bit daunting at first, I think, and I'll talk a little bit about what to do when you first download the app and what to expect. But it is definitely a place where you can learn a lot, and there are so many different content types which can lend themselves to you if you're promoting yourself and building your personal brand on TikTok, or if you are a business. So first of all, I'm going to dig into what is TikTok, what is the app about, and what are the core features of the app. So the majority of the videos on the app that you will see are between 15 to 60 seconds long. Very, very short. The app is primarily a visual platform. You do occasionally get videos that are slightly shorter, but most of them are between this range. And this is a really good indication, something to remember, that any content you produce for TikTok, whether you're doing it for yourself or for a brand, you need to be capturing the attention of your audience as soon as possible. You have very, very a short window of time to capture their attention. So what makes TikTok stand out from other social media platforms, and I'm going to use this as an example, is the nature of the content. So TikTok claims that they can make your day, and it's real people making real videos. What they mean by this is that the content you see on TikTok is people just in their back garden or in their kitchen or in their living room. It's not very polished. Yes, people will edit it and you can get very creative with your content, but if you compare it to Instagram, where people will have like a photo shoot specifically to film that content for Instagram, and it's all very polished and gives a quite a, I wouldn't say it's necessarily always very realistic look at what people are doing. TikTok, on the other hand, is very organic, and you feel like you're seeing people for who they are. There's not so much of a filter on it, if you like. So what can you get out of TikTok? Some of the main features which are quite unique to this platform are the fact that the content is so short. So as I've said, you have to make every second count for your content. The algorithm on TikTok is very, very powerful, and you, as soon as you start using the app, will notice this by the For You feed. You can transform your look, so there are lots of different filters you can use within the app, lots of different effects you can use to make your content unique. And if you're trying to make it funny or do different points of view, you can definitely achieve that. You can also edit a lot of your TikTok content within the app. They are adding new features in there every couple of months, so it's really easy to start making TikToks. You don't need to be a video editor to make content here. And the other good thing is that it's super easy to synchronize your videos to music. So within the app, you'll notice every TikTok has songs playing in the background or as the main feature of that content. And there's actually, you can see all the songs that are trending at the moment. There's even a TikTok chart. And it's always good if you're stuck for ideas or you need some inspiration, looking at what music is trending at the moment within the app and then seeing how you can mold your content to fit that. So if you've never been on the app before, at first the interface is a little bit different, I think, to most of the other apps that we're used to using. So at the top of the page, you can see you have following and a For You tab. This is the two main feeds that you'll be browsing through when you're spending time on the app. You can then see on the right hand side, you've got the profile image, the like button, how many likes that piece of content has, how many comments it has, if you want to share it elsewhere. And this example here shows you what the caption looks like and actually what a call to action button looks like. So this is actually an example of an ad. So you can see that the video takes up the whole screen, and we've got this overlay here, but it's very immersive, and that actually means that people are going to spend more and more time on the app. So how does TikTok work? I've got this really helpful diagram here which helps explain the algorithm and how, unlike other platforms where you might need to rely on having a bigger following to see your content reach really far, TikTok is unique because you don't require that. So if you were to post a video, TikTok would analyze every piece of your content. So they would look at how long the video is, what you've included, so whether it's just literally a video or whether you've added text labels to it, how many, if you've used the built-in effects, what your caption includes, the different hashtags, and also which music you've used. TikTok will put all of this together in a little package, and from there will predict which audience types are going to like this video and who it's going to resonate with. From there, your video will get pushed to a small selection of users which TikTok thinks will match up and will resonate with that content. Depending on how your content performs with that small group will have an impact on the life cycle of your content. So if everyone that it gets shown to really engages with it, so they like the video, they watch it in its entirety, maybe they watch it more than once, they could comment, they might follow you off the back of watching it, or perhaps they share it to other platforms. These are all positive actions which TikTok are going to say, yep, this is really resonating with this audience, matches our prediction, so we're going to continue to push this further to more people we think it's going to resonate with. And so from there, you can, without a large following, actually have a video go viral. And you might be brand new to the platform. It could be your first video, it could be your second video. There's nothing that requires you to have 1,000 followers or 1 million followers to start with. However, on the other note, if your video performs really poorly with that initial group, it's quite likely that the life cycle of your content is going to be very short and it's going to stop being pushed to users. So what you will see is that once you've posted your TikTok, if it takes off, you might see new views coming in for the next like 24 hours or maybe a few days, maybe even a week. If it doesn't, you'll notice quite quickly within a couple of hours, oh, okay, this has been shown to like 30 people and it seems to have stopped. So that kind of gives you a good indication of how the TikTok algorithm works. And I think that's really worth bearing in mind if you're unsure, should I start a TikTok account or should I start producing content? Oh, I need to build a following. Try not to let that hold you back, because it could be that if you just find the right audience, your content will do really well regardless. So now we know a little bit more about that, let's look at who is using TikTok. The primary audience on the platform at the moment is 13 to 24-year-olds. So if your product or service or your brand is mainly geared towards Generation Z, TikTok is a really useful platform for you. And if you're not already, I think you should definitely consider how you could maybe incorporate TikTok content into your social media strategy. Over the last few months, where we've all been stuck in lockdown and people have been on their phones more, had some more free time, been scrolling, I think in the next 6 months or so, we will see this age group expand a little bit. And I think we'll start to see a few more older audiences on there as TikTok just kind of grows amongst people. But right now, the real target is Generation Z. So across the world, there are over 800 million global active users. This is fluctuating a lot at the moment, and I'm sure some of you might have heard about the recent news with TikTok being banned in India, which was a huge source of users for the app. I think it's going to be a very interesting few months with how TikTok deals with this and what they put into action to stop their app being banned elsewhere around the world. There are a couple of rumours that it could be banned in other places, but there's nothing confirmed yet. I think that this is not unique to TikTok right now. I think there's just a lot of eyes on it, and in terms of data concerns, what's happening with that data, what data is being collected about you if you use the app, it all comes down to an awareness of what you're signing up for any social media network. TikTok has been hit really hard with this, but there are just the same concerns with other apps like Facebook and the Facebook family of apps, so Instagram and WhatsApp are included in that. And I think as a user and as a brand, you will have to make that decision on whether this is something that you want to use or at least test and see how it works, and then you can make a decision from there. But there is a huge audience on TikTok. So out of the global audience, 6 million of those users are active in the UK every month. So this is a really good sign if you've got, as I say, a product or a service that you want to market towards the younger audiences. There's definitely an appetite for it in the UK right now. People are spending 52 minutes per day on the app, which I think is a crazy amount of time. We're all on our phones all day, sure, but there's a lot of distractions and a lot of other things that we can be on. But this ties into how addictive the app is. And actually, although people have a very short attention span as they're scrolling through, and you need to capture their attention within like the first 2 seconds, people will sit down and will use it for nearly an hour. I know quite a lot of people have, I did a thing recently where I asked people, go into your phone settings and tell me exactly how long you spent on the app, and in quite a few cases it was longer than an hour. But again, that ties into, you have a really good opportunity to get in front of people using TikTok. So now you've got a better idea about who's using the app and starting to understand the types of content a little bit more. But it can still be a bit daunting and you don't really know what to do when you first download the app. So if you decide to sign up for a TikTok account, this algorithm, this picture is a really good representation of how the algorithm will get to know you. So when you first download the app, make an account, the content that you'll get shown might be a little bit bizarre, and it definitely won't be catered to what your preferences are. And you might be like, why is there so much hype about TikTok? This is not content that I'm interested in. Like, I don't want to do crazy dances. I don't get it, like, close the app. However, this is because the TikTok algorithm doesn't know anything about you yet. You need to start using the app for it to learn what you're liking and what you're not engaging with. So as you start scrolling through the feed, TikTok will start building up a profile about you depending on how long you're watching videos for, which ones you're skipping past immediately, what you're liking, what you're commenting on, and who you're following. And as I mentioned earlier, in the app you have a following tab and a For You tab. And this For You tab is really where the learning is going to take place and where TikTok will start to get a better picture of what content specifically is resonating with you. I have had some people say to me, oh, I always get this type of TikTok shown in my feed and I don't know why, because I never like them. And I'm saying, yes, but you're watching them. And my boyfriend actually, he was like, I don't get why I'm seeing these TikToks. I'm like, it's because you're watching them and you're watching them more than once. So don't underestimate how much emphasis TikTok is putting on kind of passive viewing of content and how that's going to influence what happens in your For You feed. But then I would say if you start using the app and you give it a few tries for a couple of weeks or so, not even that long, you will start to see content which you really enjoy and get hooked into the app like I did. So talking of different content that you can see on the app, through some of the categories that you can expect to see across TikTok. So some of them include lip syncing, which is a bit of a throwback to TikTok's Musical.ly days. So Musical.ly was a lip syncing app which was bought up and merged into TikTok. So that's a throwback to that. You will see dancing videos. That's a huge trend on TikTok, which you can't really escape. You will see memes. Story time videos are very popular on the platform. Lots of people will break up a story or a longer video that they could have maybe put on Instagram or YouTube, break it into parts, and part of that is prompting the engagement from the audience. So I'm going to tell you a bit of the story, but then you have to come back for part 2, you have to come back for part 3, and that's a way that you'll see lots of influencers using to build their following and to push up engagements. You'll also see lots of comedy sketches, tutorials, different challenges, education. Over the last few months I've seen a lot more accounts who are putting out whatever their expertise is across TikTok, and that could be anything. It doesn't have to be social media related, and it's a really good way of using the app and like how you wouldn't imagine it being for. And then you'll get your kind of cute like pet videos and things like that, and travel and vlog content. So there really is a niche for everything. Like if you can think of it, it will be on TikTok somewhere and there'll be a community growing around that. So let's look at how you could use TikTok as a business, and I'm going to go through some examples of how brands are using it, how to set up a TikTok campaign, and what you need to know and bear in mind when you're doing that setup. So TikTok says that they are connecting the brands today with the consumers of tomorrow. And from this statement, I take it to be that if you want to connect with Generation Z, you need to be using TikTok. You need to be starting to think about if it's suitable to build brand awareness of your product, and if you can run some ads to help build awareness and start driving people to your site. So first of all, we're going to look at the different objectives that you will be presented with if you go to set up a TikTok campaign. So they are pretty much as expected, and if you've ever run a Facebook campaign, then this should look quite familiar to you. There are 3 pillars at the moment: awareness, consideration, conversion, and these cover increasing your reach, driving traffic, increasing your video views. So everything that you would expect really, and this should make it really easy if you have tested a campaign, say on Instagram or Snapchat, and you want to have a go and see how similar content that you've optimized for TikTok performs with this audience, then it's not going to take you too long to kind of adapt it over into TikTok. So I'm just going to dive into each pillar quickly. So first of all, awareness objectives. So this is going to be really great if you're looking to increase awareness of your brand and the recognition. And this in particular is going to show your ads to the maximum number of people in your targeted audience at the most efficient price. So that's something to bear in mind. If you decide to go for a consideration campaign, this is really great if you want to drive traffic, if you want to increase app installs, and if you want to increase video views. That last one, increasing video views, is really good if you kind of want to push to see who your content is really resonating with. And finally, conversion ads. So if you want to encourage your users to take a specific action on your site, like making a purchase, then you can do that. You would need to set up a TikTok pixel, make sure that this is installed on your site so you can see the user journey. But again, if you've used Facebook Pixel before, then this should be quite familiar to you. The next thing to consider are placements. So when you decide to do a TikTok campaign, you're going into that with the mindset of, I'm creating content for TikTok. So it's really, really important that you don't just press automatic placement. Otherwise, your content will be seen in other places which you might not want it to be, or it's not going to be completely optimized. So just make sure that you've got TikTok ticked and you'll be good to go. In terms of ad targeting, again, this is quite similar to Facebook ad targeting. So you can drill down here and make custom audiences, select your location, the gender, the age. I would actually recommend right now sticking towards the broader side of targeting. Try not to be too specific. The reason I say this is because the algorithm on TikTok is so powerful that you can actually let it kind of do it for you to some respect. The other thing to think about is people like a real mixture on TikTok, and it's not always obvious that they, for example, targeting somebody with fashion, they're not going to be following all fashion. They might be following loads of storytelling videos instead. So the correlation there isn't quite, it's not lending itself the best to this form of targeting. So I would say stay broad, do some tests, and then you can go from there. And then we've got the campaign structure. So just like any other campaigns that you'll be running, super easy, set up a campaign, set up different ad groups, and you can have your different creatives within that. So now I'm going to talk about your creative and specifically what you need to bear in mind to make it the best for TikTok, and some tips along the way as well. So when you are creating a TikTok, and this goes for both organic posts you're doing either for yourself or for your brand, or ads that you're running, you need to make sure that you're filming high resolution videos. Consider things like lighting, even if you just sat in front of a window or you go outside to film it, and use high contrast colors. A way that you could do this is using contrasting text labels over the top of your content. Finally, you need to stay in the safe zone. So I've actually done a TikTok on this myself, so you can follow me at Becca Social if you want. But as you've seen earlier on, the interface of TikTok takes up quite a lot of room. So you need to make sure that if you are adding any text overlays, or if you have a product that's in your video, that it's not going to be covered up by the caption or the buttons or the For You or Following tab at the very top. Otherwise, people aren't going to see what you're talking about, and they're just going to scroll past. I think the most common place that I see people slipping up on this is that they have their text overlays right at the bottom, so then it's covered up by your caption, or they'll put something at the edge and it's covered by your profile picture. So that's something to bear in mind. As for your copy and your caption, less is more. So you've seen there, like the caption is just like a transparent overlay. Keep it short. You have it's recommended that you use 12 to 100, but I would say go closer to the 12. Just have your hook, and if there's any relevant hashtags to your campaign, or there's something trending that you think your content will fit into, and I would say don't just add hashtag for you page, which is a trend, but it doesn't work because everything ends up on the for you page initially when it's being pushed out and tested by TikTok. But do some research, have a look at what is trending, and if your content will fit into that and will resonate with that audience. See how many people have already posted to that hashtag and bear that in mind as well. So looking at the different ad types on TikTok, there are 4 main ones which I'm going to talk about, which include native in-feed ads, brands takeovers, hashtag challenges, and branded lenses. So the first one is native in-feed ads. So this is an example of a Maybelline campaign actually, where they were advertising their latest mascara. And the trick here with native in-feed ads is they are going to be shown as the user is scrolling. So you kind of need to make it look as much like another TikTok as possible, but still capture the attention. So it's really important you get your hook, your message, like what's going to captivate people and make them stay within those first couple of seconds. And you can do that by using the text labels, getting influencers involved, so they are like, oh, I know that person, I'm going to stay and watch. And this campaign, this ad in particular, did really, really well. Maybelline got over 48,000 likes and like 2,000 comments in one day, I think. So it's really, really successful, and these types of ads can be really, really powerful. And to give you a bit of an idea on performance, they achieve on average 5% engagement rate, which is super high, and a 1 to 3% average click-through rate. So these are quite high compared to some of the other social media platforms if you're running ads, and they're one of the easiest to do as well. Like, you can literally just find somewhere that's well lit, record on your phone. You don't need like a studio, you don't need a whole photo shoot. It can be quite low production and still produce a really, really high performing ad for TikTok. Another ad type are brand takeovers. So you'll usually see the brand appear as you open the app as a splash screen. These are very, very immersive. They actually, when they're shown initially, as you can see, the interface is hidden for those first couple of seconds. So you have to watch, you have to look at it and see what it's about. So these are really, really powerful. And if you are a big brand, then you can make these category exclusive. So here we've got one example of a travel ad. That means that for a predefined period of time, usually around a week, that will be the only travel ad running. So these are super expensive, but it's worth considering if you have a bigger budget, as they perform super well. And just to give you some context, they have a 7 to 10% average click-through rate. So huge returns for that type of ad. Another ad that you will see on the app are hashtag challenges. So these are quite fun, and when you go into the Discover tab on the app, you will see all the trending hashtags at the moment, and you'll also see the sponsored banner, and from there usually a hashtag challenge. So this type of ad works by there will usually be a few, like 1 to 3 normally, official TikToks which have been produced to kind of set the tone, give the idea to the audience, like, okay, this is what we want you to do with this. And then the whole point of these ads is to encourage the creation of user-generated content. So you're kind of creating a trend whilst building your brand awareness. And it's a great example of a really unique type of content which we don't see on other platforms. And it's super engaging, and you can work really well with influencers for these type of campaigns, and it's almost a way of paying to go viral, which we don't really see on other networks in this format at all. So another type of ad that you'll see, that if you've ever used Snapchat or the different Instagram filters you can get, you should be quite familiar with, which are branded lenses. So these can be 3D objects in the space around you, face filters, AR effects. They're a really fun ad type and are great if you have a product or you want to overlay your branding in some way. They've got high engagement rates, and users can use these in their own TikToks, or you could create some to kind of, again, give that idea of how you want it to be used. And these are great at building brand awareness and spreading your message. So finally, the other main type of ad that you'll see is user-generated content. So this is just super similar to how an influencer might be promoting something on Instagram in their stories or on their grid. This is where a company has got in touch with a TikToker and said, here you go, I want you to put this on your page, I want you to use it in your TikTok, be as creative as possible, put your own spin on it. And these ads perform really well, and quite often, because they are as organic looking as possible, they look like just any other old TikTok, but with your favourite people in and a product. They're really, really good at being quite subtle in spreading that brand awareness without being like, this is blatantly an ad. And again, there's a really good opportunity there if you've used videos that have performed really well on Instagram stories or even Snapchat ads, you can quite easily repurpose them for TikTok. So I've got a few final kind of tips that you should bear in mind if you're thinking about using TikTok ads or just getting on the app in general, and that is to optimize and test your content. And this goes for both paid and organic. Make sure your videos are vertical. Sounds obvious, but you need to make sure that you're filming vertical so it's full screen and it's as immersive as possible for your audience. Keep it short and snappy. You can do longer videos, but you need to make sure that in those first 2 seconds you're giving your audience a reason to keep watching and stay for the whole length of your video. The longer they stay, the better TikTok is going to register your video is performing and the more success you're going to have on the platform. And finally, add in fresh creatives each week. So if you're running an ad campaign, keep testing, keep trying different cuts of your TikToks, mix them up, try different text overlays. And I would say that you can also do this with your organic content. Test different colors, test the length of your TikToks, see how they're performing, try out different hashtags, different length of captions. Honestly, the possibilities are endless, and you're going to learn so much from just doing and getting the results back than just sitting here wondering, well, maybe that'll work. Just go test it. Just a couple more. Be brave with your bid. So at the start of your campaign, you want to attract sufficient volume to get a really good indication of how your content is performing. So I would always bid higher at the start, and then you can level it out as you've got those initial results in. And finally, keep your audience broad. So as I said, you can rely on TikTok's algorithm to fine-tune your targeting for you. You don't need to be super specific. And again, once you've tested your different creatives, you're going to get a better understanding of what's resonating with who. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope that you've learned lots. And I strongly recommend you download the app, have a little experiment, see what content you like, and explore the possibilities of including it in your strategy. But that's it. You can follow me everywhere at Becca Social, and I hope that was fun and helpful.
It was fantastic. Thank you so much. This was so helpful and so interesting just to see how different TikTok is from all the other social media channels out there, from all the other platforms, and how they function and how you can use them to achieve your goals and to really use it as a marketing tool. So it was fantastic.
Thank you.
We have both questions. So
Okay.
I'll start with kind of my question, which is, are there any businesses in particular that you would say it's definitely worth for them to give it a try? And are there any businesses that you would say, because of your product and service and I think, maybe not just yet?
I think so. Some of my favorite accounts are the Washington Post. Actually, they've got one of their staff just like they're obviously working from home at the moment, but they're putting a really creative spin on what's happening in the news, and then sharing that through TikTok. And there's quite a few journalists actually who are also using TikTok almost as a like journalism tool to both pick up stories and then share that content in a different way to what we would see as like normal. As for is it the right time and if it lends itself to any products more so than others, I think it comes down a lot to your audience. That's really going to be key. But also if you have a brand where you've got quite a good culture, like team culture, it can be really good to show the behind the scenes side of things, even if your product doesn't necessarily lead the way. But yeah, I think at the moment we're in quite a unique time where it's not really been decided what works and what doesn't work. So it's just about testing it and seeing how it performs with your target audience.
And I think you already kind of touched on it. Ryan submitted his question pretty much at the beginning of your talk, but if there's anything that you could add to his question, he's asking for companies and brands that want to get strong presence and following on TikTok. If we kind of establish it's not necessarily the necessity to have the big following, but his question is, what content execution do you suggest?
So if you are going to go for it, you need to be consistent. That's the main thing. As I said, it's not all about your followers, and you could have one video that goes viral, which will then start to bring in that increased audience. But the main thing to do is to be consistent. So whether that's posting once a day, or if you set a goal, I'm going to post 3 times a week every week, that's how you're going to get the most accurate measure of how you're performing on the platform. And don't be afraid to film content in bulk. Lots and lots of people do that, and that's quite a good way as well for a brand or a company to manage it. You don't have to, if you're going to post every day, don't feel you need to like literally film every day. Take an hour or 2 to film in bulk and then see how that performs over the next couple of weeks.
Brilliant. We had a comment from Cindy. Thanks very much, Becca, for this. Very interesting. Thank you very much for joining here, Cindy. Lovely to see you here. Question from James. Is the AI-powered targeting as good as you'd expect from more established networks like Facebook ads?
I think it's really, really powerful. I think especially because on TikTok it can be quite hard to narrow down. As I said, like as a viewer, I don't know what TikTok thinks about me because I have quite a few varied like niches on the platform. So if you were to narrow down and be like, oh, target somebody who likes, I don't know, food, I would definitely come up. But I like so many other things as well. And TikTok knows that because it is showing me that variety, which is why I would say, yeah, try to keep it broad if you can, and TikTok will do the rest for you.
Yeah, I think it's very different. It's very hard to define your audience on TikTok, especially if you are not actively using the platform, because as Becca said, I'm the same. I've been kind of experimenting with the platform for the past year and very kind of wasting lots of time there since the lockdown started, but definitely because of the variety and very different types of content that you would probably not see anywhere else, because of the functionalities that the app allows you to do. There are certain types of content that I would never ever expect myself to want to watch, be it on YouTube or Instagram, where I spend most of my time watching videos. Then I would not expect myself to watch certain videos on TikTok, but because of the way they're produced, or they're very addictive, interesting, then people will watch things that are not necessarily in their customer persona by default. So that's interesting. We have a question from Lisa, who's asking, can you share TikTok videos to Instagram?
You can, yeah. So once you've published, I'm assuming she means her own TikToks, you can just save them. They'll save straight to your camera roll. And then I think most people, it lends itself because of the ratio, would then upload it to their stories. So you could create a highlight on your Instagram profile and have your TikToks there. Yeah.
Yeah, you will see quite a few Instagram stories where it's obvious by the filters and style of music and everything that it's been created on TikTok, and obviously people can then repurpose it. When we're talking about kind of starting with TikTok, would you recommend a brand or a person starting with just doing organic, or would you recommend starting with both organic and go straight for ad campaign?
I think it depends on what your goals are. If you're still not quite sure about how involved you want it to be and how big a part of your overall campaign you want it to be, then start with organic, because you're going to get a feel for the types of people that will engage with you, and what content is resonating, and that can help direct you in what content you would use for paid.
Mm-hmm.
And on a personal level, I think if you're working for a brand or somebody, definitely give it a go yourself as well, because you'll see completely different results and get a good feel for different audience types, different techniques, and how people are being creative with the built-in tools and editing effects that you can use in TikTok that you might want to incorporate in campaigns.
Cindy is asking, what might be the future of TikTok? Do you think it will become more popular for the audience age 24 plus?
I think it will, yeah. I think at the moment TikTok is sort of suffering from like a bit of a reputation when it first started, that it's just for teenagers doing like these dances or lip syncing. And now, especially as we've gone through lockdown and everyone has a little bit more scrolling time on their phone, we are seeing a much wider variety of people using the platform, which I think is only a good thing. And I think if we look back as well to Instagram, when that first started, that I think we saw something quite similar. At first the audience wasn't very varied, and now it's much broader. So I think we will see something very similar for TikTok.
Yeah. We have interesting question from Andrew. He's asking, do you think it would be a good platform to attract young people, let's say Cambridge University students or anything, to volunteer for their organization?
I think so, yeah. I think that could definitely be, you could do it in a very creative, fun way, and as a sort of payoff, like entertain, and then people will get engaging with you, and then you can go from there. And it's all about how you put forward your messaging. So as I said, although you are quite limited in the caption space, definitely utilize the labels that you can put throughout your videos, and that could be a way of both informing people of what's involved, why they should get involved, and how to go about doing it.
Yeah. I think thinking about this particular question, when it's about an organization that I know Andrew a little bit, so I know it's an organization that helps charities and people to get more digital. And I think it might be very interesting. You already touched on where the company has a great company culture and showcase really the behind the scenes, and showcase, how fun it is and what lifestyle people are having in the work. But also I think a story time where it might be a great, easier way to start, because some of the story time videos seem to be less technically challenging to edit, where you pick a trend or music and there's like you kind of point into different places and you introduce yourself and you introduce your team members and you introduce your organization and you introduce your people you're helping and everything. And there's lots of opportunities for organizations like that to really leverage, again, very simple videos that then can be repurposed on different social media channels and could be cut into longer videos as well. Yeah, I think I'm just keeping track of any other questions if I've missed anything, but I think we've covered a lot for a very unique and unusual platform like that. So I think people are really just getting it in and kind of drawing in. I have a request for everyone who's watching. If you are on TikTok or if you're considering setting up an account, I think, come back to this video and comment with your TikTok link, with your TikTok name, username or anything. If you already have one, even if you're not using it, just send the link, and we will make sure that I will definitely make sure we'll follow you. I'm sure that Becca will keep an eye on you, so we can, you know, start kind of, I would love to see if you join and start doing something. One question I've noticed from Cindy: how one to choose between using TikTok and YouTube?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it can come down a lot to how much time you have to do the kind of editing and the behind the scenes things. I think there are definitely ways that you can, the content itself, you could share on either. That would suit it very well. From my experience, TikTok is much easier. If you've made a note of everything that you want to say, you can film in bulk and then just have it ready to go as and when. And as I say, it's super easy to edit within the app. You don't need to know technical video skills or anything like that. You can just do it on your phone while you're watching telly, like super simple. YouTube, I think, does lend itself to being of a bit of a higher production quality, and it's longer to upload the video. There's a lot more steps you have to go through to get it ready. So I think that depends basically on which one you should pick, and also your audience. Again, if it's more catered towards the younger audience, it might resonate more on TikTok. But that doesn't mean, and this goes for both platforms, with the right optimization and testing, you could make it work for both. But yeah, I think it comes down to how much time you stuff.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the goals, what you're trying to achieve, on your resources, and obviously on the audience that you're trying to reach. And other than that, I think that any platform can work, but every platform will have a slightly different strategy that you will need to use to really use a platform. Fantastic. This was a brilliant session. Thank you so much, Becca.